Time is now 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, May 27th. I'm calling to order the special meeting of the Warwick School Committee. At this time, I'd ask Ms. Tedeschi to please call the roll. Here.
Ms. Hazelwood?
Here.
Ms. Kirby-Chapman?
Aye.
Mr. Wiggins?
Here.
Mr. Testa?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. 5 present. We have a quorum. I would ask that anyone willing and able please stand now for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd be looking for a motion to go into closed session for discussion and/or action regarding those items of business exempt from open meetings under general laws of Rhode Island, RIGL 42-46-5, A1, A2, A4, A8, and A9.
So moved.
Made by Mr. Wiggins.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Hazelwood. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're in closed session. Now 6 p.m. Returning to open session. There were no votes taken. I'm looking for a motion to seal the minutes of executive session.
So moved.
Made by Mr. Testa and Ms. Hazelwood, seconded by Mr. Wiggins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. There were no votes taken in executive session. At this time in the meeting, we are on to public comment. Public comment is for agenda items only. Individual comments will be respectfully limited to 3 minutes per person, with public comment not to exceed 45 minutes. Though the content of comments will not be restricted, it is the hope of this committee that citizens, committee members, and the administration alike will be respectful of each other's right to speak, tolerant of different points of view, and mindful of everyone's time. This public comment period is for agenda items only. A second public comment session is available later in the meeting for all other topics or concerns. Members of the public are permitted to speak during both of the public comment periods. Speakers are asked to state their name for the record. Those new to the meeting, it's the podium down here to my left, and one after another can just come right on up. Please make sure the microphone is on.
Hello, Darlene Netco, President of the Warwick Teachers Union, an English teacher of 37 years, 35 of which have been here in Warwick. Obviously, I'm here today to speak about the layoffs that have been proposed. I know that the school department did not get the entire budget that it put forward to the city. I'm not sure of the exact amount, but I think we're still $1.9 million in the hole. A little bit more money was given to the schools at the city council level, but it's still not enough. And I know on April 17th, the school committee had cut $2.1 million from what the administration had presented. So in my opinion, the school committee and the administration have already done their due diligence. And it's unfortunate now that 15 people will be losing their jobs. And it's never, or it frequently is not like a one-to-one correspondence as to who is getting laid off because of things like certifications and seniority and retirements and resignations and so on. So the layoffs don't exactly correspond with some of the cuts that have been made in the district, such as half of the math interventionists being cut. So now math interventionists are going to have to go back to doing 2 schools instead of being based at 1 school. We have some special ed positions being cut, both at the elementary and the secondary level. We also have some special ed positions being added. But we need to, and you know, and I'm not telling you something you don't know, have the appropriate staffing of faculty in order to provide education to the students, whether classroom teachers or support professionals. And we have had some classroom positions cut too, both at the elementary and secondary level. I'm hoping, obviously, that at some point in the summer, perhaps the city will see fit to properly fund you. I know there's that budget commission, and while some members of it seem to think that they can go and cut what you already have, I have seen some members of that budget commission touring the schools and looking at our special ed programs in particular, and looking at the teachers and the TAs that are needed to run those programs.
30 seconds.
And so I'm hoping that instead of taking money from the schools, this budget commission would actually figure out that the schools need more money, that those cuts of 10 or 15 years ago, the maintenance of effort cuts and the paying the interest on the bond were detrimental, that we've already closed schools and consolidated and right-sized, and that these layoffs will be rescinded at some point. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Necco. Are there any other members of the public wishing to comment? Are there any other members of the public wishing to comment? Are there any other members of the public wishing to comment? Seeing none, we're on to new business. First item before us, Discussion action, WTU layoffs. Looking for a motion to move approval. Made by Mr. Testa, seconded by Mr. Wiggins. Any discussion? Yes.
Is this, oh, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would echo what Ms. Necko said. I don't think anyone up here revels in laying off staff. And with respect to math interventionists, I sat on the stage several years ago and found a way to put the positions back in when they were initially cut. And I can tell you, I tried this weekend to figure out a way, looking at the budget, looking at the allocation of the city, I could not find a path. And I'm sorry I couldn't, because I think everybody here sees the value in them, but there just was not a path to do that. This is one of the unfortunate things of these positions, but that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Testa. Any other members of the committee looking to comment? Ms. Hazelwood.
I'll just echo what Mr. Testa said, and also what Ms. Necko said, that none of us want to see anybody lose their job, and everybody that we have is valuable. But we're caught between a rock and a hard place, and we still don't know what we're going to do with the 1.9 million that we're short. It's just a horrible situation, and we all want it to be better. We're all working to get it better, but we have a responsibility, and this is where we are today.
Any other members of the committee wishing to comment? I guess I'll make a statement. One of my colleagues was busting me up in exec. So in addition to my colleague to my right, the vice chair, and Mr. Testa, just echoing what they stated, we have that $1.93 million gap between what we asked and what we've received in terms of local appropriation and our forecasted state appropriation. Very grateful that we did get more than what was initially advertised to us in the city's proposed budget. But we do have to still overcome that 1.93 that Ms. Hazelwood mentioned. And I just want to make sure it's very clear that though there is a reduction in math interventionists within our district, we're not cutting the function itself. Students are still going to get the support that they need, and they will get assistance from the remaining math interventionists. Would it be ideal for us to have a math interventionist in every school, a reading specialist, a social worker, a psychologist, an SEL coordinator, multiple nurses depending on student population? Absolutely, that would be ideal. However, we're not dealing in ideal circumstances at this time. I stated it to my colleagues when we were in exec, and I'll say it again. I take pride in the fact that this committee has slowed things down and hasn't been run and gun. And in the middle of the year, when we had the deficit that we were trying to address through budget amendments, we didn't act on immediately eliminating positions. We felt that would have been dangerous to make mid-year cuts. And it was at that time that we were very honest with the general public after we declined those and basically accepted to continue on operating with a deficit. We were very open and honest, and we said, we don't want to provide any false hope. There's still difficult decisions coming. And so to Mr. Testa's point, tonight's it. Tonight's one of them. I believe in giving it straight. Sometimes people don't enjoy that. But I said FY26 was going to be difficult. And I'm telling you right now, we're still needing to look at the structural deficit on the back end of this upcoming budget. So there's probably another difficult budget ahead of us, maybe two. And what we need to do is go very slow and methodically through our school operating budget, figure out where we can identify some cost savings, some operational efficiencies, and then just try to open up as much money as possible so that way we can retain the positions we have or even bring back some of these other positions. But I think I speak for all of my colleagues up here when I say none of us are going to let any child fall flat. And if we see real quickly this going sideways, that we're going to hold the administration accountable, and I don't say that in any disrespect, to bring back roles, to figure out where they need to cut to open it back up. I had very good conversations today with Ms. Barber. So, just want to clarify, Ms. Necco's statements. We're not here cutting special education. Ms. Barber gave a very nice and easy to understand response where she stated that, she remains committed to advocating for our students and restoring or adjusting staffing should the needs change. And I think one thing this committee has always said, we've had a very standard response, is we staff according to student need. We've said this publicly when advocating for funds at the City Council. We've said this when people have reached out to us, with media inquiries. We staff according to student need. And so if the needs change in a certain school that particular year, that adjustment is made. And then they move the resources around. But again, I believe this committee remains committed more than ever. I think we've only said no to Ms. Barber once. It was December. It was only one time. But special services, every time there's been a headcount request, has received that. So special ed will continue to be fully supported by this committee. With my final comment with regards to the math interventionists, they are as valued as every employee in this district. Every employee in this district is valuable. And so, it's, do you shoot yourself in the left foot or in the right foot? Really don't want to shoot myself at all, but that is the scenario that we're being faced with here. We have to figure out how we can, optimize the resources that we have given the financial constraints that we're facing. So, to those that could be potentially impacted here, we just want them to know how valued they are and how much we appreciate what they've given this district, and that this is based on position, not based on person. And I have seen a couple of the names on there, and my colleagues as well. They've all echoed the same thing I stated, where I know somebody on there being impacted. So it's just as difficult for us up here. That's all I have. Anyone? Ms. Tedeschi, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Galligan?
Yes.
Ms. Hazelwood?
Yes.
Ms. Kirby Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Wiggins?
Yes.
Mr. Testa?
I'll abstain.
4 yeses, 1 abstention. Next item on the docket, discussion action, approval of tollgate early bid package for concrete pending ride and school committee approval. Looking for a motion to move approval. Made by Mr. Testa, seconded by Ms. Hazelwood and Mr. Wiggins. Any discussion?
Again, Mr. Gothberg's going to do his thing.
If he would like to present.
No, I'm just here to answer any questions.
Okay.
Do you have any? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm going to use the word for the public's edification. This bid came in $793,000 under our budget.
Correct.
So, that's it. So I'm going to say about this one. I'll
Okay.
wrap it up with the other one.
Any other comments for Mr. Gothberg on steel? I think I know
Concrete.
what. Excuse me, on concrete.
Concrete.
I think I was thinking steel because I think I know what Dave's going to say on the next one. So.
You probably do.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Seeing none, looking for a motion to move approval. Excuse me. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I'm looking for a motion to move approval on the discussion action, approval of tollgate early bid package for steel pending ride and school committee approval.
So moved.
Made by Ms. Hazelwood and Mr. Testa, seconded by Mr. Wiggins. Any discussion?
Thank
Mr.
you.
Testa.
This one came in at $2.4 million on the budget.
Correct.
So cumulatively so far with the bids we've sent out on the 2 high schools, we are approximately $6.75 million under budget. And That's on top of, we still have about 15 million in owner's contingency, and there's still about another 3 or 4 other contingencies. So as we mentioned this morning at the building committee meeting, this is a trend that's not a prediction of the future, but I think we're sitting in a pretty good spot so far in this project, and I have our fingers crossed.
Yeah, there'll be some ups and downs, but I think we will be where we projected to go, so this is just a harboring of things to come.
Do you yield? Okay. My only question, and also for the public's edification, with, you already gave me the answer, but for their knowledge, with the steel coming from north of the border and the potential for tariffs and how that could impact pricing here, are there any concerns from the project team?
No, the tariffs look like they've eased, and they are locked in. That's why we asked to bring this forward tonight, because if we hand this over tonight and tomorrow and get them on board, then we're locked in.
So the moment we vote on this, processed by Demio with the company, it's a price lock. So if tariffs were to come, let's say in, I don't know, what's standard delivery time on this? 2 months, 3 months?
A little longer than that, 6 months probably.
Okay, so
Yeah.
in 6 months, let's say if things change and there are tariffs, would the tariffs be imposed at the time of the import, or is it at the time of the purchase?
Time of purchase, I believe, correct?
Yeah, I think that's a tough process to understand. We're still seeking clarity on that. Some products go over the border multiple times.
Yep.
Receive the collected tariff at each trip over the border. But I think we're insulated from that once we go to contract.
Okay,
In a mill order, our price is solid.
okay, great. That's
Okay.
all I have.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments from members of the committee? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Steve. Next item we have, discussion action, resolution related to out-of-district transportation to private and parochial schools. Looking for a motion to move approval.
So moved.
Made by Mr. Testa and Ms. Hazelwood, seconded by Mr. Wiggins. I'll just state, I hope my colleagues would support this. One Saturday a couple months ago, Mr. Testa and I were on a call with RIDE. Mario Carreno was putting it on. He's really doing a great job spearheading this, doing a lot of research. Warwick Public Schools has participated in the collection of information with regards to transportation for students going to private or parochial schools, as well as transportation related to career and technical education. So this would just be the Warwick School Committee sending on to the state legislator, stating that we support these, the House bill and the Senate bill, and asking them to continue to evaluate it further and hopefully make some changes. But within the resolution that was before you guys, there's a couple $1 million savings in there. And tonight we heard with the first agenda item where we've got to open up some money, and hopefully this helps us and every other city in town. So looking hopefully for your support there. Any other comments from members of the committee?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Mr. Testa.
Thank you. And you know, what you didn't share is that this is really to do with the busing regions for career and tech pathway programs. The regions that are in existence today were set up in 1977, and they haven't changed. Think about that. It's been 48 years. How much growth have we had in these programs? The commission that was set up, headed by Mario Carreno and some other school committee members, they identified several $1 million of savings statewide if this would go through. And to me, it's endemic of Rhode Island, how we can sit here and school districts take the brunt of this, of what it costs us to bus kids to different pathway programs, because the General Assembly sat on the hands for 48 years. It's staggering to me. So I fully support this.
Thank you, Mr. Testa. Ms. Hazelwood?
Just to add to what Mr. Testa said, originally when the legislature was put in place, there were 4 career and tech, and now there are 255. So that's giving us a whole lot more responsibility and using our school district dollars to follow through with that. And we just don't have it. We have to cut wherever we can at this point. And keeping, keeping that money here rather than sending it out works for me. It just does.
Thank you. Any other comments from members of the committee? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We're now on to public comment. Individual comments will be respectfully limited to 3 minutes per person, with public comment not to exceed 45 minutes. Though the content of comments will not be restricted, it is the hope of this committee that citizens, committee members, and the administration alike will be respectful of each other's right to speak, tolerant of different points of view, and mindful of everyone's time. This public comment period is for general comments or concerns. Speakers are asked to state their name for the record. Again, podium down here to the left. When one person is done, the next person can come up. Just kindly ask that you make sure that the microphone is on. Thank you.
There we go. Oh, I've never had to turn it on. Jeremy Langell, Ward 5, Warwick Neck. I want to thank the school committee, the administration for your work at the school or city council. I see how much work you all do, and I do appreciate it, advocating for our children. I just wanted to again reiterate the stress of being on the PTA. And so, as we're thinking about cuts, even a small cut of $250,000 always finds its way down to us, and then we have to figure it out, and sometimes we can't. So, and of course we're parents, and we want to make sure our kids have everything, So we just to be mindful of that. And maybe there's a path forward here to be more collaborative with Works PTAs. Maybe we need to start thinking about how to bring them to the table for the conversations, just so that we have a little bit more collaborative model. The other thing I wanted to mention is, in principle, I saw the resolution regarding unfunded mandates. In principle, I don't have any issue with that. I understand the reasoning for it. I think you all know I also serve as the executive minister for the Rhode Island State Council of Churches. Just happens to be that I live in Warwick. We have some concerns that that legislation is a bit too broad, and that there are potential issues there where some regulations and some policies may undermine or may allow school districts to discriminate against students in the LGBT community and so forth. Obviously, we don't believe our school committee would do that. We know that each of you has a commitment to every child regardless. So our thinking on that is that maybe there could be a little bit of tightening up of that resolution or that state legislation to really be more specific about what it actually is, what counts as an unfunded mandate, what specifically are you targeting, so that we don't have this general language of policy and regulation, which really could include anything at that point. And we would have, my organization, and as a parent, we would have really big concerns about that. So just something to put into the conversation. I know this stuff happens all the time at the State House where things get changed, or sub A, sub B, whatever. So, but I think it would also benefit me just to know specifically what unfunded mandate, what is your thinking more or less, and how can we make sure that we're still protecting our multi-language learners and our special ed kids and our LGBTQ kids, all the kids that, really good regulation protects, right? And that's what we want to make sure that we're doing too. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Langell.
Hi, everyone. Mary Townsend, Special Ed Teacher Assistant, Wise Union President. I'd also like to echo the thanks for our entire school district, all the hard work on the part of administration, the school committee, the teachers and Wise members. I appreciate that unity in moving forward to support our students. Like Darlene, I understand that there will be position eliminations at Wise, and that is happening now, but I'm hoping that, it appears that we're kind of in a place where that's all been decided, and hoping not to see too many more. The positions that we've lost, just like the math interventionists and all the other teachers, are valuable to the students. The other thing I wanted to bring up, it's off topic, but it's just food for thought for any of you, and I'd be happy to speak to it again, is I've been hearing about changes at the Early Learning Center and the moving of programs. I was in preschool for a long, long time, over 32 years of my career, and the thought of we were alone in our building. We were in an elementary school. We were all alone at the end of the building. We did our own thing. Well, there were different things that we did that lined up with kindergarten. Our kids weren't included with the kindergartners, nor would it have been appropriate. So I guess I want to put that out there as food for thought, that moving our preschoolers back to elementary schools, to me, is a step backward. I understand we need more rooms, we need more access for preschool programs, but it's not the way to do it by displacing certain populations of our preschool students and thinking that there is a possibility of including them in our kindergarten programs. It's just not age appropriate, nor is it educationally sound, in my opinion. The other thing is there are other programs there that may be considered because they have their own inclusion in their integrated models. But just remember, I remember the isolation of being a preschool program in an elementary school where, nothing pertained to us. Staff development didn't pertain to us. The curriculum, everything that was going on around us didn't pertain to us. They were nice enough. Every once in a while we'd get invited to an assembly or an ice cream thing, but otherwise, we weren't inclusive of it. So I know that we might not be going all the way back to that time, but I still feel that our elementary schools are not the place for our preschool students. Thank you.
Thank you.
I concur with Mary that the elementary schools are not a place for our preschool students. That's going backwards. That's where we were. We had classes at Child Inc., and they were spread all over the district, and now they're in one place to be a preschool. So that's where it needs to be. I wanted to talk about finally the groundbreaking of Tollgate and Pilgrim. Yay. Then walking up all those stairs will not be for naught, because something will actually be occurring behind Tollgate High School. And this is an opportunity, when we're talking about unfunded mandates and statewide busing, to make sure that we promote our pathways and our career and tech programs as much as we possibly can. Because at a certain point, the North Kingston High School signs are going to start appearing over on the southern side of Warwick, and the Pontigansett ads, and I've seen, Situate ads on the television and so on. So somehow we've got a Studio 107 over there at Pilgrim. Maybe they can make commercials or something for our pathways and career center programs, just to make sure everybody knows we have them. Now, of course, as I've said before, we're at a slight disadvantage because of RIDE not deeming anything substantially similar, and shame on them. The schools such as Warwick that came in after the initial whatever year that was with Gina and Ken Wagner pulled that little stunt, everybody afterwards has had more hoops to jump through in order to get something approved, and it's just not right. I think there should be a reset where all these other schools that were grandfathered in have to go back and do the same things that Warwick and other districts have to do in order to get approved. Because it's absolutely ridiculous that we lose so many kids to North Kingston or Pontigansett or wherever just so they can go play sports. And that's what they're doing. And the North Kingston parents know that's what they're doing, and it's wrong. I think the only program Warwick cannot provide would be that animal husbandry thing they got going in Pontigansett.
30 seconds.
We're not doing that here. But other than that one, we can do everything else. And by the way, I heard there was some chatter somewhere about aviation. Our Career Center has an aviation program. FYI. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Necco, I'm going to get with you on that whole animal thing. Piqued my interest. Are there any other members of the public wishing to comment? Any other members of the public wishing to comment? Any other members of the public? Mr. Enos? No, you could say anything too. All right. Seeing that there's no other speakers, future meetings, policy subcommittee meeting, Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. Building committee meeting, Wednesday, June 4th, 2025 at 7:30 a.m. The next monthly school committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 10th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. The next fiscal subcommittee meeting is scheduled, well, I've got to get with Mr. Enos, and we've got to schedule that. Health and wellness is also TBD, as is the Warwick Special Education Advisory Committee. Being that there's no other matter of business before this committee, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Made by Mr. Testa and Ms. Hazelwood. Looking for a second. Seconded by Mr. Wiggins. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? We're adjourned.